It's time to buckle up for a free speech fight. Labour is reportedly close to finalising their watered-down definition of Islamophobia. According to The Telegraph, Steve Reid, the Community Secretary's new definition, will be designed to tackle anti-Muslim hatred. Now, this is a marked contrast from Labour's controversial 2019 definition of Islamophobia. Under that definition, anyone using the phrases Muslim grooming gangs and Asian grooming gangs was an Islamophobe. But is this now simply a virtue signalling exercise, a Trojan horse definition to usher in new blasphemy laws? The announcement has been delayed tragically after 15 Jews were murdered over the weekend in a vile anti-Semitic attack by Islamic terrorists on Bondi Beach in Sydney. The government claims the terminology is aimed to provide guidance for behaviour codes that public bodies, councils and businesses can adopt. You decide. Here is some of the proposed new wording. Anti-Muslim hostility is engaging in or encouraging criminal acts, including acts of violence, vandalism of property and harassment and intimidation directed at Muslims or those perceived to be Muslims because of their religion, ethnicity or appearance. It goes on. It is also the prejudicial stereotyping and racialisation of Muslims as part of a collective group with set characteristics to stir up hatred against them, irrespective of their actual opinions, beliefs or actions as individuals. Now, that might seem reasonable at face value, but just because it improves on the previous definition doesn't mean that it won't have a chilling effect on free speech. As Toby Young from the Free Speech Union warns, it is simple, unnecessary. It is already a criminal offence to stir up religious hatred or discriminate against people on the basis of their religion or belief. As Lord Young says, news organisations might now need to think twice before mentioning the religion of the father and son terrorists in the Sydney incident this weekend, or the prejudicial stereotyping could inhibit a social worker or a teacher in a Muslim area from drawing attention to issues such as sexual exploitation, forced marriages or even grooming gangs. But fundamentally, especially in the aftermath of the horrific rise in anti-Semitism, does one religion need such a privileged status? The real question is, why do we actually need a definition at all?
Hello, I'm Bev Turner. Now, it can feel like the money in our bank accounts at the moment does not keep up with the cost of living, and maybe there's a solution. I'm here today with the CEO of TallyMoney, Cameron Parry. Cameron, what is TallyMoney?
Well, Bev, with TallyMoney, you get a current account and a debit card, but instead of pounds, you use milligrams of gold as your everyday money.
So why gold?
Gold traditionally is a great store of value. It has, on average, gone up at over 11% per annum for the last 25 years against the pound. It's tripled in value in the last decade. And in the last 2 years alone, it's increased by 50% against the pound. Banks' savings products just can't compete with that level of growth.
But this isn't just about gold. This is about a currency that you guys have created at TallyMoney. Explain it to me as though I'm an idiot.
So, look, people need to be able to hold their earnings and build their savings in a money that retains its value and remains in their legal control and remains theirs to access, away from government control.
Great. You had me at not exposed to government control.
You should feel safe and happy with your money. You should have peace of mind the more money you see in your bank balance, and that's the type of thing we're trying to deliver and give people choice in the type of money they get to use every day.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Cameron. Thank you.
But let's get the thoughts of my panel. Director of the Popular Conservatives, Mark Littlewood, businessman and activist Adam Brooks, and journalist and broadcaster Nina Mishkov. I think I've got the walk down to a T. Right, I'm going to start with you. Adam Brooks, do we really need a definition for Islamophobia?
No. Why should one religion have extra protections over others? I've sat on this sofa for 4 years. I've mentioned the Church of England, Catholic priests, and religion for the child sex abuse within the church. I've called out the Archbishop. I've called out the church for covering up this child abuse. Does that make me a Christianophobe? No, it doesn't. I'm an atheist. But why should one religion have extra protections? If we talk about immigration and maybe the migrant hotels, yes, many of them turn out to be Muslim. We're not outside protesting because of their faith, but things like this could turn that into like an Islamophobe offence. It's not the case. I do worry about free speech. There is no need. As you said, there's already a law that protects people from being targeted for their religion. I'm an atheist, but I believe people's right to believe in whatever they want and to be able to practice their faith wherever they want. There is nothing Islamophobic about calling out grooming gangs or rape gangs where the people were Muslims. So at the end of the day, we have to be very careful that this isn't a shield to people that want to use it to stop any criticism of people within their community.
I guess the worry is that when you say, you use the phrase Muslim, so it kind of encompasses everyone who is Muslim, and in a way that sort of then can put a negative light on the Muslim faith. Nina?
I guess it can. I mean, I've said many times on this sofa that I think religion is the basis of pretty much all of the world's problems, actually, when you count it through the centuries. I think this is just semantics. I don't understand what the problem is. You know, Islamophobia, and actually the word Islamophobia is wrong because it's not a phobia of Islam. They're talking about a hatred of Islam. It's like saying you're anti-Semitic, you're Semite-phobic. Do you see what I mean?
So even the word Islamophobic is almost a non-entity.
Yes, absolutely. But they're not using Islam. They've said that they've had a draft report out, and they're not going to be using the word Islamophobic. So I don't see what the problem is.
Mark, do you see the need for a definition?
No. What's the problem they're trying to solve? So you read out, Nada, this new supposed definition, and I rather agreed with Toby Young's response from the Free Speech Union. The first part of it, you know, you mustn't go and practice physical violence against Muslims or burn down their property. Well, that's illegal anyway. The second part of it was a bit of very dangerous word salad, which is that you mustn't dismiss these people as a cohort or stereotype them or the rest of it. Well, I think you are entitled to do that. It might be in slightly bad taste, but it's reasonable to do that. I was thinking of 2 Monty Python sketches. I mean, one movie, The Life of Brian, obviously ridicules Christianity, but in another Monty Python movie, they ridicule both Protestants and Catholics as cohorts, and they assume certain stereotypes about Protestants and Catholics. The Charlie Hebdo cartoons, I think, would fall foul of this definition very properly. They would probably be categorised as Islamophobic, could well be. And I remember all of our Western leaders saying, "Je suis Charlie," and standing up for free speech. Well, precious little good that this has got us. We don't need any of these laws anywhere near the statute books. There is no problem to be solved here that is not already covered by existing law.
But the thing is, people who call, you know, and I am a huge believer in free speech, but it seems to me that in practical terms, many people who call for free speech, and I'm not saying anybody on this sofa, are people who want to stifle the views that are different to their own. Look what's happening in America. Look at Trump. These new laws on your visa form, where they're going to look at all the social media, what you've said. That he's not looking for terrorists, because nobody's going to be declaring themselves a terrorist on Facebook. They want to know whether you're anti-America or you've made any rude comments about Trump.
Yeah, but hang on.
That's free. That's free speech.
There's a big difference there. Because
then they'd have to get a lot of the Labour Party out, wouldn't they?
Well, most people, I would have thought.
there is a big difference here, even though I do have some concerns about what the Trump administration's doing. That you can monitor what people have said if they are applying for a particular privilege, such as I wish to come to the United States of America. Then you can sort of check, are you conducive to the public good? Because you're applying for a privilege. However, if you're in the United States of America and you ridicule Donald Trump, There is no penalty whatsoever. Once you're there, you can take the mick out of him, you can dress up as him, you can caricature him, and your First Amendment rights are protected. So it's only being clamped down there if you are applying for a particular privilege. It's a bit like an employer going through what you've said in the public domain.
There's a crack in the... Look what happened to Stephen Colbert. He was cancelled and then brought back. But if that can happen once, then it can happen again.
Well, that was on the grounds that he'd said something wholly untrue.
But let's remember, the last 2 years we've had anti-Semitism on the streets of London, blatant anti-Semitism, right? But because there is only 300,000 Jewish people or 400,000 in this country, it is half swept under the carpet. There's 6 million Muslim people in this country. Now, Labour know that and they want the votes. So I believe they are pandering to a community for their votes. And I think this is virtue signalling.
But then anti-Muslim
already.
Since the Southport horror, anti-Muslim hatred.
And so is anti-Semitism.
Absolutely.
On a great scale.
So this is awful. So you have two sides
So bring in
here.
a law that protects people's religions as a whole, not one religion.
Exactly. I think that's the key point. Why would you single out Islam? What about Christianity? What about Judaism? What about Jehovah's Witnesses? What about the Church of Scientology? Why, if you're going to protect people from ridicule and so-called hatred or being characterised as a cohort, why does it only apply to Muslims?
I could mock the church.
Any faith.
I could mock the church, mock the Bible on this channel. Nothing could ever happen to me. Nothing.
Or Buddhism, or Sufism.
I could mock Christianity, and nothing will happen. I will not get a knock on the door. But certain other religions, you get something wrong or you say the wrong thing, even by mistake, you can get a knock on the door. That's not free speech at all.
And there should not be special protection for one religion. There should not be special protection.
But if you think about it, you've got anti-Semitism, so there's a definition in a sense for that.
Yeah.
Some people might argue that if you've got a definition for anti-Semitism, then why have you not got a definition for Islam?
But there's no particular legal I mean, I would actually remove hate laws, right? I mean, I don't really care about your motive. Whether you've, punched me in the face because I'm white or black or Jewish or not Jewish or Catholic or Christian, I don't really care about your motive. So anti-Semitism is not defined as a specifically different criminal offence. It's just a term that we use for the hatred of Jews, but there's not a particular anti-Semitism law. It's covered by general racial hatred laws, and then if you are, talking about globalising the Intifada, I guess that could be covered by terrorism laws. There's not a specific carve-out for the Jewish community. It's just a term to explain the horrible hatred.
All religions should be equal. All religions should be equal.
And no special privileges.
Exactly.
I think all religions should be banned, frankly.
Banned? Wow.
I'm with John and Yoko. Imagine, I said this before, imagine a world with no religion. Perfect.
Do you think that this is a way of sort of blasphemy laws kind of coming through the back door?
Well, it is a blasphemy law, isn't it? There's no two ways of... that second part of it, there's no two ways to interpret it. That you cannot ridicule or show, spite to, or even hatred towards, or, a particular cohort based on their religion. That is a blasphemy law.
Isn't the problem of it as well that it's so wide the interpretation, where you draw the line and where I draw the line might be somewhere else? So who's going to draw the line?
Yeah, well, that's why it should be left up to polite society, not to the criminal law. If somebody says something untoward, the way to correct it is that their peers, colleagues, friends and families say, that was the wrong thing to say.
Yeah.
Not that Plod knocks on your door at 3 o'clock in the morning and looks through what else is on your bookshelf. That is not the way to police it. We need to police this ourselves as a polite, liberal society.
I think we're all agreed here. Anyone that is hateful towards someone for their religion, is wrong. If you want to, attack someone for their beliefs, that's wrong. And we do not need a special treatment for one religion.
I wonder why the Labour government are bringing it in then. Why do you think? Maybe because there's 6 million Muslims, perhaps? Maybe they're looking for their vote. Thank you, Nina, Adam and Mark.